Chairman Kelch and members of the Education Committee. I'm David Boyk. I am a state employee and a lawyer for the Protection and Advocacy Project. The Protection and Advocacy Project acts to protect people with disabilities from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and advocates to protect their disability-related rights. In short, I am opposed to the bill, particularly the questions on standardized tests. I think that if there's widespread objection to standardized tests, the North Dakota Homeschool Association and the national organizations with which they're connected should come up with an essay-based exam that can demonstrate the proficiencies that they say are not being tested adequately in standardized tests. But until that time, those of us outside of the home, outside of a particular student-parent relationship and education, we have no way of knowing what's happening. And I want to skip over the rest of my testimony there and talk briefly about children who fall through the cracks. Standardized tests enable us to identify children with disabilities. And Mr. Sorum talked about a child for whom he has found appropriate ways to address the child's needs. And another speaker mentioned two children with special needs for whom he'd gotten outside support and help. And I agree the easiest way to identify a child with disabilities is to interact with that child day to day. But the state does not have that opportunity. The state needs to look out for kids who aren't being taken care of in tune with the child's constitutional right to an education. Now, I want to give an example of a child who fell through the cracks. This child, now age 20, has severe autism and a number of other disabilities, including oppositional defiant disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. He was taken out of school by his parents. They are both well motivated and well educated. They have done everything that within their means to teach this child effectively. They've gone to extensive training that they renew or get updated every 6 months. But as a result of his disabilities, the child had disruptive behaviors that were manifestations of those disabilities. As I said, the parents tried everything that they knew to address the behaviors. They took the child to a pediatrician, and they took the child to a psychiatrist, and they now trust only one physician in their community, and so all of these others are now excluded from the options they consider. These disruptive behaviors created a major problem, and because among those was self-injurious behavior. Eventually, the parents tried to control the behaviors by restraining the child and locking him in his room. He fought restraints, including having his hands tied together with those elastic tie bands, having his feet tied together, having his hands tied to his feet. This did not solve the problem, as you might have guessed. When he was locked in his room, he knocked on the door to the point of bloody knuckles. He banged his head against the wall or the door and so injured himself. The side of his face was all swollen and created an open wound from which an infection entered, and he had an infection of his eye. He deteriorated to the point, and this situation deteriorated to the point that the parents tried to motivate his behavior by what I would say is basically taunting him. He has obsessive compulsive disorder. They threw peanuts on the floor or marbles on the floor, and this disorder was just very, very upsetting to the child. The child wanted to get down and pick everything up and put it away and restore order. They shook out his clothing that had been folded and put away. Obviously, this was also not the correct formula. Child Protective Services twice intervened in this child's life, but they were unable to learn just what was going on in the home. And consequently, they were unable to remedy the situation. More recently, the Protection and Advocacy Project has intervened, and we managed to get the child, with cooperation from his parents, to specialized psychologists and psychiatrists who can adequately assess the child and help him move forward in his education. At age 20, he has a very limited reading vocabulary. When he reads Dick and Jane books. And that concludes my testimony.
Are there any questions, committee members? Representative Carls?
Thank you, Chairman Kelch. Was this student a North Dakota resident?
Chairman Kelch and Representative Carls, yes, the student was and is a North Dakota resident.
May I continue?
You may continue.
I'm just a little skeptical that you're holding this up as an example of home education. I don't personally feel that it's reasonable or valid.
Chairman Kelch and Representative Carls, I'm not holding this up as something that's typical in home education. All the home education to which I've been personally exposed shows students who are achievers. The ones I know of perform above the norm. But we have to create laws that also protect these other children. And we create lots of laws that protect the exceptions. We have laws against embezzlement, not because everybody's embezzling money. People have moral standards and professional ethical standards, but we need to address the embezzlers who are out there. And same with virtually our entire criminal code.
Any further questions for David? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, we will close the hearing on House Bill 1211.